Good afternoon, traders and investors. Will back here with another one, guys. Hope you guys had a beautiful Friday. Bit of a reversal day today. We were doing well in the morning and then reverse into the end of the day. So we're going to take a look at the charts, going to take a look at our earnings calendar for next year. Most of our big tech earnings are now out of the way, so happy about that. And we're also going to take a look at my portfolio. We did get assigned a few positions here at the close, so we'll see what I'm going to do with that. But another red day here on the markets. Now, let's jump into it right away, guys. So as you can see, guys, here, SPY down 0.45%, QQQ down 0.47%. These indexes were actually net up on the day from yesterday's close, guys. At the top of the day, we were actually up around 0.85% on SPY and on QQQ respectively, pretty much just as much as that. We were up over 1%. So heck of a reversal today. And we're going to look into why that happened. Well, on SPY, as you guys can see here, we were looking for the higher low. As I've been saying, guys, we are now in a daily downtrend. So any push to the upside on the lower time frames, right? When this 4-hour kind of bottomed out here, I was expecting the most likely scenario to just be a lower high compared to that. And that's exactly what happened. The bears followed through on their downtrends here. So before we jump into more, let's take a quick look at the heat map. This whole market was green today, right? But now, unfortunately, they closed everything red. Everything red. So broad market selling off here off of no news whatsoever. There was a slight bit of news on Google around 1 p.m. Some antitrust news once again on Google, but I would not say that that was a large contributor to turn around the entire market. I just think that it was the lower highs being set and further continuation to the downside. 1 day relative, you guys can see everything pretty much in the red, except for consumer cyclical. That's normal because Amazon is your outlier for the day here because of earnings yesterday. Now, on the 1 week relative, we see that since Tuesday, since the credit downgrade, right, everything is now red. So weekly consolidation, well underway, healthy consolidation in my opinion. So what are we looking for here, guys? Well, the higher lows, the lower highs are now set. Daily downtrend is in effect. So at this point, guys, we're going to have to wait for these charts to find their local bottom. When we're in a daily downtrend, we zoom out to the weekly. Your first target here on SPY is going to be 439, this 12 EMA for defense, right? Very, very, very key level here for the defense. But you can see that this weekly move is absolutely massive, right? So your weekly high or low, essentially, guys, is only going to be happening anything above 410, which is absolutely huge. Tons of space for the bulls to work with, but you don't want to see them lose this 12 EMA. The further we pull back, the higher the likelihood that we set up a weekly downtrend for monthly consolidation. So we'll take this 1 day at a time, but what I do want to say, guys, first off, is next week is a very big week. We've been talking about this for a while. What do we have on Thursday? We have our inflation numbers, and also we have unemployment claims. And on Friday, we have our producer inflation, right? So next week is going to be a big week. What have we been calling since June, guys? Since July on this channel. We have said that a potential candidate to turn around these markets and send them into weekly consolidation could potentially be higher than expected core and inflation numbers in August, due to July being a hot month for people. Because it's summer, people are spending more money. So we could see a slight uptick in inflation, which could act as a catalyst to bring down the markets. Now that the markets are already coming down because of our event here on Tuesday of what happened, right? It's very possible that we just end up with some continuation if those inflation reports do come in hotter than expected. So I'll be looking out for that, guys, but keep an eye. 439 is your next big level of support. Why? Because we haven't lost it since pretty much your banking crisis here. So that's level number 1. But as of now, guys, the bears, unfortunately, remain in full control of this daily downtrend, right? QQQ, same principle. Daily downtrend for the bears. Now, they didn't flush yesterday's lows, but they did come down quite a bit into the end of the day here. So once again, we are only looking for further continuation of the daily downtrend. We are looking at this point, weekly consolidation. Once again, guys, 363 or 12 EMA, big area to watch out for. If we lose this, guys, and give back too much, you could set up for a potential weekly downtrend. But as of now, it's very healthy, guys. Anything above 310 all the way down here is just for a weekly higher low. So tons and tons of space for the bulls to work with here. So just remember that even if we do pull back for a couple weeks, we're just looking for the higher lows, right? Obviously, the further that they come, then you won't maybe get a V shape. The best case scenario becomes a tightening range. The worst case becomes your weekly downtrend for monthly consolidation. But we're going to take this one day at a time. For now, still just looking for your higher low. Keep an eye on your 12 EMA. XLF, financials, same principle, right? Financials had a decent day today on the upside, but reversed it pretty much all into the end of the day. So not looking very good here for financials. If they do set up something like that, you would pretty much have your daily downtrend. We were looking for the higher low, anything above 34.20, but you see the bulls try to make a push and getting rejected. So we'll see what happens next week, guys. The bulls still control this, however, on the weekly. So even if we do continue to pull back on the weekly, keep in mind anything above 32.50 is just going to be your weekly higher low for pullback. I'm expecting it to maybe bottom out here once these moving averages catch up, potentially in the 34 range if we do push lower, for another leg up into our 36, 37 area of resistance here. But financials looking fairly healthy. Bulls working with a lot of space here. XLV Healthcare, just the opposite, as a matter of fact. Healthcare now pulling back into the danger zone. This is where I wanted them to get a stop. But the bears putting in some good work here. Now pretty much 7 days in a row of lower closes, right? So you don't want to see that if you're a bull. The bulls were counting on weekly higher lows potentially. We're now toying with the moving averages here, and we're almost coming back and clipping the top edge of our channel. So what you don't want to see is a pop up and then look below the channel. That would definitely not be good. I am still relatively bullish on healthcare. I do feel that healthcare has kind of been unfairly pulling back here, but obviously the markets can do whatever they want. On a technical probability though, guys, we're still looking anything above 129 for your weekly higher low. It's just that now is really the area where bulls have to start making a move, right? If we start pulling back too much, guys, then you'll end up with something like this. Your best case scenario can become more of a tightening range, and we're going to end up with something like this on potentially a smaller format. At the worst case, guys, they come all the way to the lows. You could set yourself up for a weekly downtrend, but that's not a likely scenario for me. The meaningful break of this channel to the upside, in my opinion, should hold up pretty good. But once again, nothing is guaranteed. That's just how I see the probabilities. Now, IWM Russell, same thing, right? Cannot break this area of resistance, cannot break high 190s, 200 psychological, right? So if we do look below pretty much, this 193.13 area, which is very, very, very crucial, expect the daily downtrend to be set at that point. At that point, we'll be looking for weekly consolidation. This kind of looks like financials, right? So we have a lot of space to work with on the weekly. Anything above 180.37 is just going to be, once again, your weekly higher low for a higher low here, and then potentially another stab at your 200 psychological resistance. But obviously with the old markets pulling down and everything, right? Not looking the best for IWM to really be an outlier here. So I would not be surprised if we do get, some more pullback, especially if next week's inflation numbers are a bit high. You will definitely see this chart pull back as well. Dow Jones names now. Dow Jones also in pullback mode, right? For your weekly pullback here on the daily, you guys can see we've been looking for the daily higher low, but bulls unable to set it yet, right? So we're still kind of in this downtrending move here, right here. So anything above 33.7 is just going to be your daily higher low. Still looking for it. A lot of space. We do have horizontal support down here. Also looking for the weekly higher low at the same time. So really keep an eye on this confluence area. 12 EMAs right down here, 34.5. And then we also have this horizontal support right around the same level. So if we do pull back, expect bulls to put up somewhat of a fight in this area, but still working with a lot of space, guys, to set this weekly higher low. I still think that value names are set up well. If inflation numbers come in a bit hot, I do think that there will be a nice little rotation here into value, potentially tech getting hit the worst, but there may be a rotation into healthcare and value names as a whole as kind of a protective play. So just keep an eye on that, guys. But for now, bulls with no sign of playing decent defense. The bears are pretty much just steamrolling on most industries here, right? So we're just looking for weekly consolidation. Bitcoin hovering around nicely, playing good defense on the weekly here of our 12 EMA, right? So very, very good defense by the bulls. but still in an absolute chop zone. Your Bitcoin just loves to do this, right? Pushes a level, then stays here for 5 years. You know what I mean? Same thing up here, right? So as of now, we're still struggling with this whole resistance area that used to be support, right? So until I see a break above pretty much 30,000, break and close above 30,000, I can't say the bulls are in control, and I can't say that our weekly higher low is set. So for now, we're still looking for your weekly higher low. Bulls playing good defense down here around the 28.5 area, but that's pretty much it. Bitcoin doing absolutely nothing. If I want the weekly higher low to be set with this candle here, you need to see it close above here into the 30,000s, right? And kind of reset this daily uptrend above this support level. But for now, crypto relatively muted. Apple, huge down day after earnings, almost 5%, right? So Apple doesn't have minus 5% days, except for on earnings days that don't do well. You can see that you'd have to go back a very, very long time on Apple to find a similar day. As a matter of fact, December 15th, right, is going to be the last time where Apple had such a negative day. So obviously very, very bad day for Apple because of earnings was below expectations. They're also expected next quarter to have more of a sales slowdown. So markets starting to price that in right away. What are we looking for on Apple? Same thing as Microsoft. Now that we've lost the daily uptrend, we're just going to be looking when the bounce happens, a higher low potentially, right? As soon as this down move is done, we're just going to be looking for a lower high compared to this high here for potential continuation. Now, weekly consolidation, right? So daily downtrend is going to be pretty much inevitable at that point. It'll take somewhat of a probabilities miracle to save this in a V shape, right? No more earnings, no nothing. Inflation results next week, right? So we'll see what happens. But Apple just looking for weekly consolidation. So much space for Apple. Look at this massive move, right? Massive, massive, massive move. For me, in my opinion, you're pretty much targeting the 160 to 163 level as your area where this second leg, right? So this is leg number 1. This is massive leg number 2. So pretty much targeting this area, anything above 163 is just going to be your weekly higher low. So bulls still with a decent amount of space. My sweet spot is quickly approaching here, 175 to 170 for a little nibble on Apple for me personally. Obviously, I'd love to see it sub 160, right? But that is pretty far away, especially for Apple, right? Apple usually doesn't move that much unless the whole markets are being dragged down as well. So Apple, keep an eye out there for that, guys. Now, we're inevitably, whenever this bounces, you're just looking for a lower high for potential continuation. Eventually, for the bulls to reverse this, as in any downtrend, right? Same thing for uptrends. What the bulls need to do when this does bounce, let's say, if we get a bounce like this, decent bounce, and then they set a higher low, then, right, they set the higher low, then you can take the risk for potential reversal. But as of now, guys, just looking for the size of the bounce. The size of the bounce will be key. If we only bounce a tiny little bit and then start trending towards the lows here, well, then you know that the daily downtrend is most likely going to continue to follow through. But bulls still looking very, very healthy on the longer time frames, even on the monthly here. Tons of space to pull back here for some consolidation. AMD also looking fairly decent as opposed to most stocks. AMD was actually green today. So very, very, very good recovery by the bulls here. Engulfing, right? Coming almost back up to your pre-earnings candle, right? So very, very good movement here. We're kind of consolidating within this range between the 121 and kind of 107 areas here. I was saying yesterday, you don't want to lose these lows. So next week, guys, keep an eye out on these lows. AMD is still in a weekly tightening range at this point, right? With the lows intact. What you don't want to see is a loss of the lows. On the monthly, what are we looking for, guys? I zoom out because this is key, right? Looking for your monthly higher low. So if we do continue to pull back on AMD next week for some reason, and we do crack these lows, keep in mind my sweet spot is 104 to 100. Obviously, if you want bulls to regain control, they have to do something like this, tighten up, and then pop across the tops. Once they crack this 119.55, you can officially say that your daily uptrend is in a very likely probability of playing out, and your weekly lows will have been set. And most likely at that point, your monthly higher lows too, right? This is a monthly bull flag, guys. So very, very healthy consolidation for AMD. It's been very nice to be able to write premiums in the lower 107 to 104 range for me for the past 3 weeks. So that is one of my favorite plays now in all of tech pretty much. But bulls still with a lot of work to do, guys, a lot of work to do to reconfirm a daily uptrend, right? So we'll see what happens. Amazon giving back some of its gains today, right? Look at Amazon, moved near the highs, 143, and closing near the lows. So this kind of looks like Google. The first day of Google earnings after earnings, right? Almost did the same thing as Google. Amazon now working with a lot of space, right? Your horizontal support is pretty much 136 all the way down in the 135s, this whole range right here. Big gap to fill here. So I may as well put this support line right up here like that so you guys can get a better view of it. And what are we looking for? Same as what happened on Google. Daily uptrend is reconfirmed. Just looking for your higher low. Keep an eye on your confluence area, right? The moving averages, if we do take some time to come back up, it'll look exactly like Google, where the moving averages were allowed to finally catch up to the move. And you see confluence area, moving averages, and your horizontal support tends to act as a good bounce zone if we continue to drop. So just keep that in mind for Amazon. If we continue to drop, I'd be looking somewhere around here, around the 135 area, right? For consolidation at that point. But bulls, tons of space to set the daily higher low. So good control by the bulls. Amazon weekly uptrend is also reconfirmed. So no real red flags on Amazon. They're working with tons of space still, right? Google, just brought it up, but we'll do it again. So Google, same thing, right? So Google is currently struggling at your area right here. Google, right? Confluence area. Bulls playing good defense around the 128 zone. But if next week, right, same thing on most of these tech stocks, if next week is not good for inflation, expect them to come down, right? Still a little bit of a gap to be filled here, all the way down to pretty much 124 area. You wouldn't like to see it, because if Google gives back that much of a move, your daily downtrend will be set. And we're already going to be in weekly consolidation after just 1 week of a pop, but working with a lot of space. Anything above 116 is just for a weekly higher low for further continuation, right? So just keep that in mind. Google working with a lot of space. If we do crack this level and pull back into this area, I will be looking for writing options here in the lower 120s. This is kind of my sweet spot, 120 all the way down to 114. So if we do come down into there, guys, I will not hesitate to be playing Google, right? So the moral of the story here, guys, is on a lot of these big tech names, I've been waiting for the stocks to come to me, and you see a lot of them actually have, right? I've been playing AMD. We're just in the business of just waiting for stocks to come to us, not being impatient with it, not chasing, not having FOMO after earnings, right? So just keep that in mind, guys. And if we do set up a lower high, especially with this candle, right? Don't really like this candle. We keep setting up a lower high like this and flush, your daily downtrend is confirmed. And that just means that we're into further weekly consolidation, but a lot of space to work with here, guys. Anything above 116. Meta. Sorry, I didn't do Meta. I don't know why I flipped over Meta and Microsoft yesterday, but we'll do them today, right? So Meta working with kind of the same thing here. You want to look out for this low area, right? 289. 289 is going to be crucial, right? So we were looking for the daily higher low. Now with today, it's very crucial, guys, on a lot of these names, right? They tried to break out, but we're still in a 4-hour downtrend, and which also leads me to believe that this daily move down is not finished. So still looking for a higher low, anything above 289. But bulls quickly losing ground here, defending the 12 EMA nicely, but Meta with a lot of space to work with. So still looking out for the daily higher low. No real red flags yet. The bears haven't taken back too much of the move yet, right? So still set up pretty healthy. And on the weekly, guys, like you don't even want to know where this weekly higher low is, right? It's all the way down here at 207. Right, 207. If we do keep pulling back on the weekly and we flush these lows right here, anything above 207 is going to be your weekly higher low, right? So if we do continue to come down here, especially in August, if that happens, we'll be setting at that point the monthly higher lows, right? Tons of space for Meta to pull back for a month or two. We'll take it one day at a time. But if it happens, don't tell me that I didn't warn you. Monthly consolidation is eventually inevitable. And it wouldn't surprise me that it's going to be now because Q3 is kind of the perfect position for it. Q4 is supposed to be very good for these companies and also very good for the markets. So Q3, if we do pull back on the indexes and these tech names, well, it would be very fitting in terms of seasonality. So just keep that in mind. Microsoft continuing the daily downtrend, right? So daily downtrend, Microsoft was our first big tech name to continue the daily downtrend, to actually form the daily downtrend in the first place, right? So still playing good defense, guys. 328 area as the support level. So that's kind of the first area to watch here. As the daily downtrend continues like this, we're just expecting, like I was saying yesterday or the day before, we're just expecting when this move bottoms out, we're expecting a lower high and continuation. So it appears as though the patterns are completing themselves, right? So technical analysis does work if you do it right and you're not on the 1 minute charts trying to day trade or whatnot. Usually these longer time frames, they hold up levels better. So Microsoft playing some good defense at this level, but we've just lost the weekly 12 EMA. So keep an eye on that. For Microsoft, anything above 275 is just your weekly higher low for consolidation here, right? My sweet spot, 307 down to 285. So if we do continue to pull it back, look at this. I brought up the monthly close on Monday, right? So look at these monthly closes of last month, right? So if we keep pulling back, just looking for a monthly higher low, tons of space to make it happen. So if August is a red month and early September is as well, guys, don't act surprised. This is just normal market consolidation. We wait for the stocks to come to us. And when they're at the levels that we want them to be at, that's when we buy, right? We don't try to chase the market. We just wait. We set our levels where the valuations are good to us, that everybody has their own personal ones. These are just mine. So if Microsoft continues to pull back, that's what I'm looking for. But as of now, guys, the bears are actually in full control of the short time frame. So they're in control of the daily, and also the weekly swing down has a lot of momentum, right? So it remains to be seen what's going to be happening next week, but wouldn't surprise me if we continue to grind lower on Microsoft. NVIDIA, right? Also, daily downtrend is still a thing. So let's just widen this up here because NVIDIA is pretty flat at the top here. So daily downtrend confirmed. Like I was saying yesterday, what are we expecting? Just expecting a higher low compared to here and daily downtrend to continue. So with today's price action, it's very possible that our lower high is set right here. And we're now just going to be looking out to our most recent lows, 433, for your daily downtrend continuation, right? So NVIDIA currently in weekly consolidation. Keep a big eye on your 400 level, guys. This area right here is crucial for NVIDIA. If we lose the weekly uptrend, if we lose this weekly uptrend, right, monthly consolidation will be underway. So we'll take this 1 day, 1 week at a time, but also NVIDIA, they've run up so much that 1 or 2 months of monthly consolidation to set lower highs, potentially near all-time highs, 330 if it goes all the way down there. I know you guys that are potentially holding NVIDIA don't want to see it go down to there. But over the next 5 years, this stock will most likely be higher than it is now, especially if they fulfill on their promises that they're going to do and their business pivot, right? So it's just inevitable at this point. We're going to take it 1 day at a time, but weekly consolidation definitely looks like it is underway. You want to keep your key eye here on the 400 level. Very, very, very crucial until the bulls are able to put in a nice move that engulfs a previous leg down and then put in a series of higher highs and higher lows, right? So that can play out here, or it can play out something like this, right? We can do this and then engulf. And then if that happens, I'll say bulls have a lot of space to set a higher low compared to here and move to the upside. So that is what I'm looking for, guys, for me to really say, okay, our weekly downswing is probably complete, all right? Tesla playing decent defense as well, but still today getting a bit crushed here towards the end of the day here. So top to bottom move on Tesla, 4%. Tesla, although Tesla's been range bound, we've had a few very volatile days here in the past, right? So key level for me, guys, you will remember if you've been watching the videos, 240 support on the weekly is crucial. Now we are in pretty much a daily downtrend at this point, right? So we were just looking for a lower high compared to 269. We got it today, and now we move to the downside. If we flush our 251 low here, keep an eye, next area, 240. That will be for your weekly higher low. It's also right where this 12 EMA is. 12 EMA is roughly 245. And then we have our big support level, 240 to the downside. So bulls still looking for a weekly higher low. So they still haven't lost the weekly, guys. We could still put in somewhat of a bounce on Tesla. But if the rest of the market underperforms and inflation comes in hot, we might be able to lose this weekly uptrend. If we do lose the weekly uptrend, guys, I know we don't cover the monthlies a lot because we haven't lost the weeklies in a long time, right? But if that happens, guys, if we lose the weekly, you have to feel it. You have to see it as monthly consolidation, right? Tons of space on the monthly as well. My sweet spot for Tesla is 230 down to 210, right? So just keep that in mind, guys. All of these charts, what I want to reiterate, guys, is the bulls control the longer time frames. So we're just looking at this point for the dips to buy them at the best possible levels once our weekly down swings bottom out here over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, however long it takes, right? So we've been stacking the buying power. Hopefully you guys haven't been buying rises in the tops and chasing the markets. Hopefully you do still have some buying power, because we are going to get some juicy opportunities, in my opinion. PayPal still absolutely destroyed, right? Another 2.23% day to the downside, right? I played earnings, as you guys know, and got completely destroyed. That's why I don't recommend you guys to play earnings. It was a gamble for me, but very small gamble, right? I did 2 contracts, so that's basically 200 shares. In layman's terms, is about $12,000, $13,000. For me, not a large sum of money, especially if I'm getting shares on the end of it. So I do believe in PayPal. The recovery story is going to take a bit longer now, but at this point, guys, we are kind of used to it on PayPal. So I will just hold these shares, and when we get a bit closer to my strike price next week, I'll hopefully be able to write some covered calls and lower my average cost a bit more. But as of now, guys, PayPal completely crushed once again. So once this move bottoms out here, we're just looking for a bounce, and we're looking for a lower high compared to our 76 high here for potential continuation to the downside. So even though I'm in this stock, guys, you can see my analysis is not biased at all. I know that we're in a daily downtrend. You would say, why would you sell now? Well, I'm not selling now, guys. If anything, just because I didn't go in with full buying power, full position size, right? I am ready to average down. If we get below 60, I will continue to average into this position. And eventually, when the bulls are able to put in a reversal of the daily downtrend and create a daily uptrend once again, that's when this move will play off. Look, it took a long time. It took 2-3 weeks for it to happen here, but it eventually does happen to where the bulls recapture the uptrend, and then we get into a nice little trending segment here, and it lasts for longer usually than your exponential move to the downside after earnings. So that's what I'm expecting on PayPal, but obviously now not looking good. We have also lost the weekly uptrend. Weekly lows were 65.50 pretty much. So not looking good. You're going to be looking at your next line of defense here. Pretty much your 52-week lows, guys. 59, 59.50 area, right? So we'll see when this move bottoms out, and then we are going to measure the size of the bounce. If they put in a good bounce, then you end up with a likely scenario of a daily uptrend reversal. But if they put in a very tiny bounce and then start reverting, you'll end up like here. Look at this. Tiny bounce and then start moving back. This candle here, I knew, okay, most likely going to set lower lows. And that's exactly what happened. Didn't last for long, but that's just how the charts go, guys. It all depends on the size of the bounce. Palantir, guys, watch out for this one, okay? I know tech hasn't been favorable recently, but earnings on Monday. So keep a big eye on this. It's going to be a very big day for Palantir, right? A lot of expectations are currently baked into this stock. You guys can see that since last earnings, I mean, we have run an absolute massive amount. If I take it from the day after earnings, right, we are already up 96%, as high as 120%. So once again, guys, this is a stock, just like all of our recent tech earnings. If they don't deliver absolutely outstanding earnings that no one was expecting, there is room to move to the downside. So just keep that in mind, guys. Palantir looking decent, still looking for anything above 16 as our daily higher low. Bulls in full control of the daily, defending the 12 EMA. Monday's earnings are going to be key. Right, very, very key. If we do pull back, if we have a bad earnings, or if we have a good earnings, but the market just reacts to the downside like it's been happening, well, expect weekly consolidation to be underway. At that point, anything above 13, pretty much this low right here, 1360 is just for a weekly higher low. So tons and tons of space on Palantir, right? If we do start pulling back, guys, my sweet spot for Palantir at this point is pretty much I'm targeting like 14, 15. If we can get back close to here to 16, there might be some good premium from $14 to $15, and I may be nibbling on Palantir, but just keep an eye on it for earnings, right? Earnings next week, quickly. Decent names, right? Palantir, Lucid, for anybody that still follows Lucid, although, I'm not too bullish on that company anymore, full disclaimer. A couple big ones next week, right? We have UPS, Eli Lilly as well, Datadog for your cybersecurity plays, right? That's going to be a big one to watch. We also have Rivian after hours. They've performed very, very well recently. This one we won't talk about, even though I know some guys, you guys might have made or lost a lot of money on it a few years ago, right? Upstart, Wednesday before the open, Roblox is one I'm going to be watching a lot. And Wednesday after the close, Disney. So very, very nice one. Wynn Resorts, Trade Desk, another advertiser that I'm going to be heavily keeping an eye on for earnings on next Wednesday, right? They've obviously run a lot since their last earnings, but are still somewhat well positioned here as a company, in my opinion, for the next 5 years. So very, very looking forward to next to the Trade Desk earnings next Wednesday, right? And then Thursday, another one of my favorites, Baba. I want to see these earnings before positioning as well. Baba has been kept down for a very long time, and I can't wait to see if they can actually start reversing their downtrend and start forecasting for better revenue, better earnings. I know their valuation is absolutely crushed right now, but they've been doing a good job, guys, here of setting in the long bottoming process, right? This stock is still massively off all-time highs, got hit for a number of reasons that we're not going to discuss here right now, but could be a very, very interesting candidate if they report somewhat decent earnings, guys. I do feel that this stock can spark another rally, which could last, a few months to say the least. My sweet spot for Baba remains under $90. So if for any reason, even after earnings, guys, even if they do poorly, if we end up back in the 80s, this is my sweet spot for writing puts. Anything between 90 and 80 bucks has always been a very, very good area to me for writing puts. And whenever I do get assigned on some shares of Baba, I really don't mind. It's a great price. And I'm usually able to write them for $5, $10 a share each, plus covered calls, which is absolutely amazing. So looking at the portfolio, guys, obviously another red day today. We were actually up today, and then obviously the market's reversed. So we end up down, still up 55% on the year. SPY obviously is going to be under 16%, under 17% right now year to date. So we're kind of trailing SPY down here, trailing the NASDAQ down as well. NASDAQ and me are kind of performing equally at this point, right? In terms of up days and down days. So you can see in the past month here, it's been pretty adequate. I did, however, get a larger drop. This was on the Wednesday that I told you guys, don't blame me if this account drops in the next few days. I'm going to be making a withdrawal roughly worth 2% of my account. And so we did that. And we also dropped. So my account dropped pretty much almost 5.5% from that. But it's okay. And obviously this past week with Tuesday's news and everything and getting assigned some positions now, the account has not been doing the best this week, but still some decent outperformance on the year. Can't be upset at it at all. Now, we are now getting assigned AA. So AA, right? AA closed below our strike price of 34.5. So we were actually above it for a better part of the day. And then the markets just fell apart at 1 p.m. And I was like, oh, cool. So we ran from not being assigned all the way down to assigned. So what did we do, guys? So I'm going to explain something here. Okay. Usually I don't write covered calls on Friday. I'll wait till Monday. But when we are in daily downtrends on the indexes, you can't trust the market. You can't trust your stocks to be outliers if ever next week we're red. So I'd rather capture the premium now when I'm close to my assignment levels in the event that the stocks continue to drop. So as you can see, we did get 20 cents for our puts here, and now we're getting assigned. So I will end up with 200 shares of this on Monday. We wrote covered calls for 50 cents a piece. So my total premium discount here is 70 cents off this. So our break even is now 33.8, right? So decent level here. And you can see AA is currently above 33.8. So we will trail these stocks down. Same thing with CSIQ. CSIQ assigned as well. So CSIQ was toying with the 35 level, but we ended up closing below it, right? We were kind of close to it today and yesterday, ending up closing it below 34.60 on the close here today. So we wrote covered calls right away, jump the gun, as I say on it. We got 55 cents for them. So now with the put premium and this premium here, once again, we're getting 70 cents in total. So our break even is 34.30. Okay, so keep that in mind. We're still above our break even. We'll see what happens next week. Happy with the premium though that I'm getting on these calls. Well over 1%. Well over 1.5% for these calls. So very, very happy with those into next week. Tesla rolled them again, got once again $1.50 per contract. So an extra $300 on Tesla. Very, very, very good. You'll see that even though the Tesla shares down here say $2,000 loss, it's actually a lot less than that, guys. My break-even price on Tesla is very, very, very good now. We're only down about $500. So we took this after having rolled for 3 weeks now. We've taken the loss from $1,200 all the way down to $500. Very, very, very good rolling in my opinion. So it's going to be good to see where Tesla ends up. And eventually, like I said, we'll take these off and we're going to ride the stock up once we have bottomed on the weekly timeframes. Amazon, obviously this ends up worthless today. So happy about that. That was a quick little $86. Can't say nothing. PayPal end up a sign, but since the calls weren't juicy enough, didn't write any for next week. SE, 62, SE as well, assigned on the 63s, right? So SE, actually the worst performer of all my assignments, SE closing at 59.44. So we got assigned all the way up here at 63, guys. What I did is I wrote the 62, so got a bit greedy with it here. So you can see total premium collected, 36 plus 62, that's about, let's call it 98, right? So let's call it $1 in premium. So $1 in premium, that's why I allowed myself to write the 62s for pretty much a break-even play rather than 63. If you ask me my honest opinion, I don't think that SE, especially with the way that this thing's been trending and potentially the market next week, I highly doubt that it'll close above 62 next week. Now that's me being bearish on my own plays. I do have potential average in candidates. If we drop into the low 50s, I will throw another contract at this and get this break even now. But for now, guys, I went with my gut feeling. I don't think we'll close above 62 or even 63. So I went with the 62 calls. And if ever we do end up above it, I can just roll it and we'll start making money on it again. But for now, we have dropped our cost basis by $1. It's pretty much around 62 now, our average cost. Nikes, close the Nikes. And lastly, pretty much Nikes close them, right? So Nikes, we wrote them on Monday here. You can see we got 62 cents for them. And Nike was pretty much giving away gains all throughout the day, right? We closed them for 19 cents in the morning. As soon as they crossed, I saw this in the morning, right? So as soon as we crossed above pretty much my strike price and we got some good continuation, I didn't want to gamble with it too much because Nike, I assume that next week, if we did pull back, we could pull back into this lower 106, 105 area, which is a juicier level for me. So I was in profit on the premium. So I figured, you know what, once they cross here, after 10 o'clock, right? Once we were in the 109, 109.50, 109.60, and my premium really came out all the way below 20 cents. I was like, you know what? Let me just take this premium off the table. And if we get another stab at it next week, let's do it. And funny enough, the stock, it came all the way back and closed under 109. So if I would have held those, that would have been a sign. So very, very good exit on this one for me. But I will be looking for Nike next week to potentially get some lower strike prices here. At this point, we just farmed some decent premium for the week. So with all that being said, guys, that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you learned something, or, you know, if you just like the sound of my voice or something like that, consider liking, guys. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. I really appreciate all your guys' comments, likes, and engagement. I love doing this for you. I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. We will see each other after the close on Monday. I'm pretty busy this weekend, but I do want to get out one of my top 10 stock videos that I'm looking at pretty much because I know that there would be some appreciation for those. So with that being said, guys, always, if you have a question, don't forget to leave it down in the comments. Have a beautiful weekend again. Take care, guys, and peace.